Welcome to Smart English Coach Podcast.
Let's improve your fluency together, one real conversation at a time.
Let me ask you something, and I want you to think about this honestly. How many times have you said to yourself, okay, starting Monday, I'm going to change my life. You're going to wake up early, drink more water, go to the gym, eat clean, stop scrolling on your phone at midnight, and then Monday comes and you hit snooze 3 times, skip breakfast, and spend your lunch break watching videos on your phone. Sound familiar?
Oh, Michael, you just described my entire January, every single year.
Right. And here's the thing. You're not lazy. You're not weak. You just haven't figured out how habits actually work. And that's exactly what we're going to talk about today. Welcome to the podcast. I'm Michael.
And I'm Sarah. And today we are diving deep into healthy habits, the kind that actually stick, not the ones you try for 3 days and then forget about.
Exactly. We're talking about small, simple, sustainable changes that can genuinely transform your life over time. And we're going to talk about this the way 2 friends would, naturally, honestly, with a few laughs along the way.
And if you're watching this while cooking, driving, studying, or just relaxing, perfect. That's exactly what this podcast is for. Just listen, absorb, and let your English improve naturally.
All right, let's get into it.
So, Michael, let's start from the beginning. What actually is a habit? Because I think a lot of people hear the word habit and they think it just means something you do every day, like brushing your teeth.
Yeah, that's a good starting point. A habit is basically a behavior that becomes automatic. You don't have to think about it. Your brain just does it. It's like your brain is on autopilot.
On autopilot. I like that expression. So I don't think about how I make my morning coffee anymore. I just do it. It's automatic.
Exactly. That's a perfect example. Your brain has stored that routine so deeply that it doesn't need to put in effort anymore. And here's the interesting thing. Scientists say that almost 40 to 45% of what we do every day is habit. Nearly half our actions are on autopilot.
Wow, that's actually kind of scary, isn't it? If half of what I do is automatic, then I need to make sure those automatic things are good things.
That's the key insight right there. And this is why building healthy habits matters so much. Because if your automatic behaviors are positive, drinking water, sleeping on time, exercising, your life improves without you even trying hard.
So it's like once you build the habit, you don't need willpower anymore.
Pretty much. And that's the mistake most people make. They relied on willpower. They think, I just need to be more motivated, more disciplined. But willpower runs out. It's a limited resource. Habits don't require willpower once they're formed.
Okay, so I need to stop blaming myself for having no motivation and start thinking about how to build systems instead.
Exactly. Motivation gets you started. Habits keep you going. That's a phrase worth remembering, listeners. Motivation gets you started. Habits keep you going.
All right, so how do habits actually form in the brain? Because I feel like if I understand the science a little bit, I'll take it more seriously.
Great question. So scientists talk about something called the habit loop. It has 3 parts: the cue, the routine, and the reward.
Cue, routine, reward. Okay, break that down for me.
So the cue is the trigger. It's the signal that tells your brain to start a behavior. The routine is the behavior itself, the thing you actually do. And the reward is the positive feeling you get afterward that tells your brain, oh, this was good. Let's do this again.
Oh, I see it now. So my phone notification is a cue, then I check my phone, that's the routine, and then I feel, entertained or connected, that's the reward?
Perfect. You just described your phone habit in 3 steps, and now you understand why it's so hard to put the phone down.
Honestly, this is a little bit too accurate and I don't like it.
But here's the good news. Once you understand the loop, you can redesign it. You can change the routine while keeping the same cue and reward. That's how you replace a bad habit with a good one.
So instead of reaching for my phone when I'm bored, which is the cue, I could reach for a glass of water instead.
Yes. And if you pair that with a reward, maybe a moment of pride, maybe you track it in a habit app, maybe you just smile at yourself. Your brain starts to say, oh, drinking water is the thing that feels good now.
Okay, I love this. This actually feels doable. Because the problem with most advice is it feels overwhelming. Change your diet, go to the gym, meditate, journal, read for an hour. I'm exhausted just listening to that.
And that's exactly where most people go wrong. They try to do everything at once. They call it an overhaul, a complete overhaul of their lifestyle. And it never works.
Overhaul, that's a great word, like a total reset.
Right. And the truth is, massive, dramatic changes almost never stick. What actually works is small, consistent changes over a long period of time.
So where do you actually start? Because start small sounds great, but how small?
So there's a concept I love, the 2-minute rule. The idea is when you want to build a new habit, start with a version that takes 2 minutes or less.
2 minutes? That sounds almost too easy.
That's the point. You want to make starting so easy that you have no excuse not to do it. So instead of saying, I'm going to read for an hour every night, you say, I'm going to read 2 pages before bed.
2 pages. Okay, that's actually nothing.
Right, but here's what happens. You open the book, you read 2 pages, you feel good about yourself, and most nights you'll probably keep reading. But even if you don't, you still built the habit of opening the book.
Oh, because the hardest part is starting, not continuing.
Exactly. Getting started is the biggest hurdle. Once you're in motion, it's much easier to keep going. There's even an expression for this. The hardest step is the first step.
So instead of saying, I'm going to go to the gym for an hour, I could say, I'm going to put on my gym clothes.
Perfect. That's it. Because once you put on your gym clothes, you're halfway out the door. Your brain has already committed.
Okay, I genuinely wish someone had told me this 10 years ago. I spent a decade being hard on myself for failing big goals, and the answer was just make the goal ridiculously small.
It sounds too simple, I know, but simple doesn't mean ineffective. In fact, the simpler the habit, the more likely it is to last.
All right, let's get practical. Let's talk about specific habits. And I want to start with the morning, because I feel like the morning sets the tone for the entire day.
Totally agree. Your morning routine is like the foundation of your day. If you started well, you carry that energy forward. If you started badly, it can affect your mood, your focus, your productivity, everything.
So what do you actually recommend for mornings? Because I've heard everything. Cold showers, journaling, meditation, no phone for the first hour.
Let me give you the ones I think make the biggest difference, and they're all small. First one, drink a glass of water as soon as you wake up.
Before coffee?
Before coffee. I know. But think about it. You've been asleep for 7 or 8 hours. Your body is dehydrated, your brain is foggy. A glass of water wakes you up from the inside.
Hydrate before caffeinate. Someone said that to me once, and I never forgot it.
I love that. Hydrate before caffeinate. That's a keeper. Okay, second habit. Don't check your phone for the first 30 minutes of your day.
Oh, this one is hard. Because my phone is my alarm clock, so it's literally in my hand the second I wake up.
And that's a trap so many people fall into. Because the moment you open Instagram or your email, your brain shifts into reactive mode. You're responding to other people's agendas instead of starting your own day with intention.
Reactive mode. That's such a good way to put it. Like you're just reacting to the world instead of choosing how your day begins.
Exactly. So even just 5 minutes of quiet, no phone, no news, no notifications, can make a huge difference in how calm and focused you feel.
What about the third habit?
Move your body. And I don't mean go for a 5-kilometer run. I mean stretch for 5 minutes. Do 10 jumping jacks. Walk to the kitchen and back. Just wake your body up. Movement in the morning tells your brain, we're awake, we're active. Let's do this.
I actually started doing this, just 5 minutes of stretching after I wake up, and I noticed I feel way less stiff during the day.
Yes, stiff is a great word for it, that morning stiffness. And moving early helps with energy levels all day long.
Okay, speaking of energy, can we talk about sleep? Because I feel like sleep is the most underrated healthy habit. Everyone talks about exercise and diet, but nobody talks about sleep enough.
Oh, absolutely. Sleep is the foundation of everything else. You can eat perfectly and exercise daily, but if you're not sleeping well, your body cannot repair itself, your brain cannot consolidate memories, and your mood is going to be terrible.
Consolidate memories. That's an interesting phrase. What does that mean exactly?
So when you sleep, your brain processes everything that happened during the day. It sorts through information, strengthens important memories, and basically organizes everything. It's like your brain runs a system update while you sleep.
So sleep is literally when your brain gets smarter?
In a way, yes. That's why students who sleep after studying actually remember more than those who stay up all night. Pulling an all-nighter, staying awake all night, is one of the worst things you can do before a test.
I did that so many times in university, and then I'd sit in the exam and my mind would just go completely blank.
Because your brain never got a chance to process the information. It's all still scrambled.
Scrambled, like scrambled eggs in my head. Exactly. So what are some good sleep habits? Number 1, go to bed at the same time every night, even on weekends. Your body has an internal clock, a circadian rhythm, and it works best when it has consistency. Circadian rhythm. I've heard that phrase, but never really understood it.
It's basically your body's natural 24-hour cycle. It controls when you feel sleepy, when you feel alert, when your body temperature rises and falls. When you disrupt this rhythm, staying up late on Friday, sleeping in on Sunday, you essentially give yourself jet lag without traveling anywhere.
Social jet lag. I've heard this term. Your sleep schedule on weekends is so different from the week that your body is confused.
Exactly. Social jet lag. That's the real expression scientists use, and it's more common than people think.
So, what else besides consistent sleep times?
Avoid screens for 30 minutes before bed. The blue light from your phone or laptop tells your brain it's still daytime. It suppresses melatonin, the hormone that makes you sleepy.
So, my phone is literally tricking my brain into thinking it's still afternoon when it's midnight.
Exactly. Your brain is confused. It's thinking, that's a lot of light, must still be daytime. And then you wonder why you can't fall asleep.
Okay, putting the phone down before bed. That's my new rule. I'm declaring it right now.
I'm holding you to that, Sarah.
You know, before we keep going, if you're finding this helpful and you're learning some good English along the way, please consider hitting that like button. It genuinely helps us reach more learners around the world.
And if you're new here, welcome. Subscribe so you don't miss any future episodes. We make conversations like this one to help you improve your English naturally while also learning something useful for your life. That's the goal.
All right, back to healthy habits. Let's talk about something that I think is really important and often overlooked: what you eat and how it affects not just your body, but your brain.
Oh yes, the gut-brain connection. This is fascinating territory.
Gut-brain connection. Explain that for our listeners.
So your gut, your digestive system, is sometimes called the second brain. There are hundreds of millions of neurons in your gut, and your gut and your brain are constantly communicating through something called the vagus nerve.
The vagus nerve. I've never heard of that.
Most people haven't, but what it basically means is what you eat directly affects how you feel emotionally. If you eat a lot of processed food, sugar, junk, your gut bacteria suffer, and that affects your mood, your energy, your mental clarity.
So there's literally a biological connection between eating badly and feeling depressed or anxious?
Yes, research increasingly supports this. They call it the microbiome, all the trillions of bacteria living in your digestive system. And when those bacteria are healthy, they produce neurotransmitters like serotonin, the feel-good chemical.
Wait, serotonin is made in the gut? I always thought it was a brain thing.
About 90% of serotonin is produced in the gut, not the brain. Your gut literally makes most of your happiness chemical.
That's mind-blowing. So when people say trust your gut, it might be more literal than we thought.
Yes, I love that. Trust your gut takes on a whole new meaning.
Okay, so what foods actually help? Because I don't want to suddenly become a nutritionist, but I want to know the basics.
Keep it simple. More whole foods, vegetables, fruits, legumes, whole grains, less processed packaged stuff with long ingredient lists, more water, less sugary drinks, and fermented foods like yogurt, kefir, kimchi. Those actually feed your good gut bacteria.
Kimchi. I love kimchi. So kimchi is actually healthy?
Very much so. Fermented foods are excellent for gut health.
Okay, I feel justified in my kimchi obsession. And the other thing about food is, it's not just what you eat, it's how you eat. Eating while stressed, eating too fast, eating while distracted, all of that affects digestion and how much you actually absorb.
Interesting. So sitting down, eating slowly, actually tasting your food, that has a real health benefit. Yes, mindful eating. It sounds almost too calm and zen-like, but the research supports it. People who eat slowly, eat less, feel more satisfied, and have better digestion.
All right, let's talk about movement and exercise, because I know a lot of people hear exercise and immediately picture a gym membership they'll never use.
The gym membership that starts January 1st and ends January 14th?
Right, you go 3 times and then it just becomes a very expensive receipt in your wallet.
The thing is, you don't need a gym. Movement is movement. The human body was designed to move constantly throughout the day, not sit for 8 hours and then do a 45-minute workout.
So even walking counts?
Walking is actually one of the best things you can do for your health. 30 minutes of walking a day has been shown to reduce the risk of heart disease, improve mood, boost cognitive function, basically make your brain work better.
I started walking every morning last month and I noticed something. I'm not as anxious. My mind feels clearer.
That's because walking, especially outside, triggers the release of endorphins. Those are your natural mood boosters, endorphins. And being in nature, even just a park, lowers cortisol, the stress hormone.
So a walk in the park is literally reducing stress hormones in my body?
Scientifically, yes. They actually call it ecotherapy now, the idea that being in natural environments has measurable health benefits.
Ecotherapy. That's a beautiful word. Therapy from nature.
And it's free. No gym membership required.
I love that. Okay, what other forms of movement do you recommend?
Anything you enjoy. That's the key. The best exercise is the one you actually do. For some people, that's dancing. For others, it's swimming, cycling, yoga, playing with their kids, hiking. It doesn't matter, as long as you're moving and you enjoy it enough to keep doing it.
Because if you hate it, you'll quit.
Exactly. Sustainability matters more than intensity. Doing something you love 3 times a week beats doing something you hate once a month.
Okay, I want to shift to something that I think is really important: mental health habits. Because being healthy isn't just about your body, right?
This is so important. In fact, I think mental health habits are probably the most impactful of all because your mental state affects everything: your relationships, your work, your physical health, your decisions.
So, what habits help with mental well being?
Let's start with one that sounds cliché, but genuinely works. Gratitude. Taking a moment every day to acknowledge what's going well in your life.
Gratitude journaling. I've heard this 1,000 times. Does it actually work, or is it just social media positivity culture?
There's solid research behind it. Studies show that people who regularly practice gratitude have lower rates of depression, better sleep, and more satisfying relationships. It actually rewires your brain over time to notice positive things more easily.
Rewires your brain. That's powerful language. Like literally changes the structure of how you think?
Yes, neuroplasticity, the brain's ability to change based on experience. The more you practice noticing good things, the more your brain creates pathways for noticing good things. It becomes your default.
So optimism can literally be trained.
To a significant degree, yes. It doesn't mean pretending life is perfect. It just means training your brain to balance the negative with the positive.
Okay, I want to try this. Not the journal. I've never been a journal person. But maybe just before I sleep, think of 3 things that went okay today.
That's perfect. 3 things. They can be tiny. I made good coffee this morning. I had a nice conversation. The sunset was beautiful. Small things count.
What's another mental health habit?
Setting boundaries. And this is one that people really struggle with, especially people pleasers.
Oh, this one is personal. I am a recovering people pleaser. I used to say yes to everyone and then feel completely drained and resentful.
Drained and resentful. Those 2 words say everything. When you constantly give without protecting your own energy, you burn out, and then you're no good to anyone.
So how do you say no without feeling guilty?
First, you have to accept that saying no is not selfish. Saying no is self-preservation. There's a big difference. And you can say no kindly. You don't have to be harsh. I appreciate you asking, but I don't have the capacity for that right now. That's a full, complete sentence.
I don't have the capacity for that right now. I'm writing that down. That's so much better than making excuses or lying.
Exactly. And the more you practice it, the less guilty you feel. Boundaries become easier with repetition, just like any habit.
Okay, can we talk about something that I think is the silent destroyer of modern health? Screens and social media.
Yes, this is such a crucial topic for our generation because we've never lived through anything like this before in human history. Constant access to an infinite stream of information, opinion, entertainment, and comparison.
Comparison is the big one for me. I pick up Instagram for 5 minutes and suddenly I feel like my life is inadequate. My house isn't nice enough, my body isn't the right shape, my career isn't impressive enough.
And this is by design. These platforms are engineered to trigger emotional responses because emotional engagement keeps you on the app longer. You are the product, not the customer.
Ooh, that's a bit dark, but very true.
It's just reality. And once you understand it, you can start to take back control. So what are some healthy digital habits? First, set specific times for checking your phone. Not every 5 minutes. Set 2 or 3 windows in the day where you check messages and social media.
A phone schedule. Honestly, that sounds revolutionary and obvious at the same time.
Most good advice does. Second, do a regular social media audit. Go through who you follow and ask yourself, does this account make me feel inspired or does it make me feel bad about myself?
Unfollow without guilt. I've gotten better at this. I unfollowed a lot of accounts that made me feel like I wasn't enough.
That's real self-care. Not face masks and bubble baths, actually curating what enters your mind.
I love that. Curating what enters your mind.
like being the editor of your own mental environment.
Exactly. And third, create phone-free zones in your life. The bedroom, the dinner table, the first 30 minutes of your morning. Protect those spaces.
Okay, I want to talk about something that I think holds a lot of people back: the all or nothing mindset. The idea that if you can't do it perfectly, there's no point doing it at all.
This is huge. This is honestly the #1 habit killer. People miss one day of their routine and they think, well, I've ruined it. I might as well quit.
I do this constantly. I miss one day of walking and I tell myself I failed, and then I just stop entirely.
It's called the what the hell effect. Research actually names it. You break a small rule, you think, what the hell, it's ruined anyway, and then you fully abandon the plan.
The what the hell effect. That is disturbingly accurate.
The fix is to never miss twice. You miss Monday? Fine, but you show up on Tuesday. One missed day doesn't break a habit. A week of missed days starts to.
Never miss twice. That's a principle I can actually hold on to, because perfection isn't realistic, but showing up most of the time is.
And here's something important. Progress isn't linear. You will have great weeks and terrible weeks. You will have days where you feel motivated and days where you feel like you're going backwards. That's not failure. That's just life.
It's not a straight line up. It zigs and zags.
Exactly. And the people who succeed long-term aren't the ones who are perfect. They're the ones who keep coming back after a setback. Resilience over rigidity.
Resilience over rigidity. I love that phrase. Okay, can we say that one more time for our listeners?
Resilience over rigidity. Being flexible and bouncing back is more powerful than being perfect and brittle.
Okay, let's talk about a practical technique for actually building habits into your day. You mentioned this earlier. What was it?
Habit stacking. It's a brilliant strategy. The idea is you attach a new habit to an existing one. You stack them together.
So you're using an existing habit as an anchor for the new one.
Exactly. Here's how it works. You identify something you already do every day, like brushing your teeth, making coffee, sitting down at your desk, and you say, right after I do this, I will do that.
Like, right after I make my morning coffee, I will drink a glass of water.
Perfect. Or, right after I sit down at my desk, I will write 3 things I'm grateful for. Or, right after I brush my teeth at night, I will do 2 minutes of stretching.
Oh, I like this. Because you're not trying to find extra time. You're just adding something small to a moment that already exists in your day.
Exactly. You're not disrupting your routine, you're upgrading it. And over time, these stacked habits feel as natural as the original anchor habit.
This is the most practical habit advice I've ever heard. And it's so simple.
Simple is sustainable. That's the whole philosophy. If it's complicated, you'll eventually stop doing it.
You know what else I think matters? Your environment. Because I noticed that when I put my running shoes by the door the night before, I'm way more likely to exercise in the morning.
You just described one of the most important principles of behavior change, environment design. Make the right behavior easier and the wrong behavior harder.
Environment design. So it's not just about mindset, it's about setting up your physical space to support your habits.
Exactly. If you want to read more, put a book on your pillow. If you want to eat healthier, put fruit at the front of your fridge and hide the snacks in the back. If you want to drink more water, put a glass on your desk where you can see it.
And the reverse, if you want to spend less time on your phone, put it in a drawer. Out of sight, out of mind.
Out of sight, out of mind. Perfect idiom for this. And research shows that simply seeing something, a phone, a cookie, a cigarette, triggers the craving for it. So removing visual cues removes a lot of the temptation.
So willpower isn't the answer, design is the answer.
I love that. Design the life you want. Don't just try to willpower your way through it.
Okay, we've covered so much today. Before we wrap up, I want to ask our listeners a few questions to really get them thinking and practicing their English at the same time.
Great idea. So listeners, here's your first question. Think about one habit you have that you know is not serving you well. Maybe it's checking your phone too much, staying up too late, skipping meals, or spending time with people who drain your energy. Can you identify it? And now, what small change could you make this week to start addressing it?
Just one small change. Remember the 2-minute rule. Make it ridiculously easy.
Second question. Think about your morning. How does it usually begin? And how does that affect the rest of your day? Is there one small thing you could add to your morning routine? Maybe drinking water? Maybe 5 minutes of silence that could change the tone of your entire day?
And third question. What does the word healthy mean to you? Because a lot of people only think about physical health, diet and exercise, but mental health, emotional health, social health, sleep, these all count too. What area of your health do you think deserves more attention right now?
We'd love to hear your answers. Drop them in the comments. Write in English. It's great practice. And don't worry about being perfect. Just express yourself.
All right, let's do a quick run-through of some of the best expressions and vocabulary we use today, because one of the goals of this podcast is helping you learn real, natural English.
Love this. Okay, first one. On autopilot. It means doing something automatically without thinking. I make my morning coffee on autopilot.
Hydrate before caffeinate. Drink water before your coffee. A fun, memorable phrase.
Reactive mode. Responding to things around you instead of acting with intention. When I check my phone first thing, I'm in reactive mode all day.
Reactive mode. Responding to things around you instead of acting with intention. When I check my phone first thing, I'm in reactive mode all day.
Pull an all-nighter. To stay awake the entire night, usually to study or work. I pulled an all-nighter before my exam and it completely backfired. Social jet lag. The tiredness you feel when your weekend sleep schedule is very different from your weekday schedule.
Out of sight, out of mind. If you can't see something, you're less likely to think about it or want it.
Never miss twice. It's okay to miss one day of a habit, but try not to miss 2 days in a row.
Resilience over rigidity. Being able to bounce back and adapt is more important than being perfect.
And habit stacking. Attaching a new habit to an existing one so it happens naturally.
These are all expressions and ideas you can use in real conversations. Practice them, use them, make them yours.
All right, we're coming up to the end of today's episode, and I just want to say, changing your life doesn't require a dramatic transformation overnight. It starts with one small decision, one small habit, repeated consistently over time.
Small steps, consistent action, and a little bit of patience with yourself.
You're not building a habit for a week. You're building a life, and that takes time, and that's okay.
I think the most important thing we talked about today is this. Don't wait for motivation. Don't wait for the perfect moment. Start with something so small it feels almost silly, and build from there.
Because 1 year from now, you'll look back and be amazed at how far a series of small choices can take you.
And on that note, tell us in the comments, what is one healthy habit you're going to start this week? Just one. Keep it small and tell us about it below.
We'd love to cheer you on.
And if you enjoyed today's episode, please give it a thumbs up. Share it with a friend who's trying to improve their English or their habits, or both, and subscribe if you haven't already.
Thank you so much for spending this time with us. Keep learning, keep moving forward, and we'll see you in the next episode.
Take care, everyone. Bye.
Bye.